to get registered as a startup. Now, to this startup, I am saying, please enter the agriculture domain area. And let me also tell you, for agriculture people, and I totally agree with Dr. Sujata and Dr. Suthi, we are still in baby steps compared to many other engineering and others. If you were to look at the DST, books and the journey of DST, you have almost 400 plus incubators across the country. And in agriculture, probably the first one was only in the 2000 era, that decade. I mean, like, we haven't, because we belong to a sector where we have started our journey in a very, I would say, more of an institutional effort. Agriculture has always been a state subject, even under the state laws. And then there has been support from the government of India. We had a lot of, I mean, it's an old story, but then we did enter into agriculture because of a need to build our food kitties. And so it has always been. It's only in the decades around between 70s to 90s, you started hearing of private seed big companies coming. And then we also went into a system approach, ecosystem approach, and we started through the NATP. That was the first time we ever thought of PPP models. But it was the boost has come from the NAIP, because there that word innovation comes, National Agriculture Innovation Project, which brought in seamlessly without our realizing some portion of agribusiness. And that was the first time the BPDs and then the TBIs and the whole thing. And I would say in the last 10 years, particularly last 5 years, there has been a sea change. Sea change, I would say sometimes with a caution, because the way we are getting funds, we are trying to push incubation. Sometimes I'm a little concerned as a person who has been right from this phase here in this, that are we sometimes going at a too fast speed, and do we have enough resources in terms of managers and human resources who are geared up to look at it. Now, you must also remember that technology has started to play a huge role in agriculture. So when we are talking about startups, we are also talking about technology-led startups. So from a centralized type of system, we are coming into a very more participatory, multi-layered, bottom-to-top models coming, top-to-bottom already there. And there's a lot of integration. So you must understand that entering as a startup into the agri domain is a little different ball game as compared to other sectors. And that's the bottom line of it. So why is it? Because you're talking about what does a startup do? I said in the different definition, a startup comes with to add certain value at some point. The agri value chain is a very complicated one, multi-layered. You have consumers, you have input agencies, in between you have the farmer groups. You also, of course, you have the much, discussed middlemen, but everybody has a role. You also have domestic companies, transnational companies, multinational companies entering into it. And whom are they catering? You have a whole set of domain area, right from inputs, the crops itself. You have the processed food sector, the post-harvest technologies, and you have the e-commerce as well as the normal offline type of markets emerging. And of course, everything has a role. The hyper-local markets, which have played a significant role in the post-COVID phase, is something which is a learning now. So in this setup, I say to young entrepreneurs, please enter agriculture. Please understand that most of the startups in agriculture are tech-based. They are now more dominant. If you were to look at the last 2 years or 3 years consolidation of various startups emerging right from barracks, name it anything, D-Heart, all these hearts, agri-hearts which have come up, all of them are tech-based. They are using some element of technology. The non-technology agri startups have always been there. It's nothing new for us. And I'm talking to a state which has been spearheading this in its own way without many people knowing that they are doing it. What is the food industry mission which is looking at so many small enterprises emerging? It has already been. Hello? Yeah. Is it okay or do any problem? I hear some noise, that's why.
Yeah, madam, presentation, we have lost the, I think you have to please present again now.
Present again means...
means, yeah, PPT mode, that presentation, you have
no,
to
but
exit from the...
I am getting as shared. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, present now. Something else is presenting, that's why.
Please remove Shaju Pullikal is presenting.
Somebody else is chipped in, otherwise
Yes.
it was going.
Hello, please remove Shaji. Yes.
Okay, present
yes, madam,
now.
please try once again.
Yeah. Is it okay now? Can you see?
Yes, it is coming, madam.
Should I start from this slide or should I go back?
No, you can start from here. Yeah.
Okay. So I was talking about the different types of startups who have entered this agricultural domain, which I said is a very multi-layered kind of a system. So you have the tech-based startups, you have the non-tech-based startups, which have always been there, but never been recognized, I would say. You also have a new, and I know in Kerala it's a strong system, the grassroots innovation. These are ideas and innovation coming to people who are at the ground level, mainly to mitigate the problem they face at any single point of time. And they come up with beautiful ideas. And yes, we have a youth system already working in another fashion, the grassroots innovation. But if today you have the Nobel Prize winner of the CRISPR technologies, the two-lady team, I would also like to bring to your notice, they are part of a spin-off, one of the earliest spin-off in CRISPR technologies, which is also having a legal battle in the US courts and some of their IPs, but it is a spin-off, essentially the R&D systems or the products coming out of universities like KAU and offering opportunities to its own faculty or in single or in JV mode to come and build companies. So those are also part of the startup scenario. I have deliberately put others in a different color to say that you also have... Hello? You also have interesting episodes in emerging technologies. Hello? Yeah? Any problem again, Dr. Sudhir?
Yeah, Mr. Shaju Pullikal.
No issues. Please remove that Shaju Pullikal.
Okay. Can I continue? You have any problem?
You can continue, madam.
No issues, madam.
Can you see my slides?
Yes, madam, we can see your slides.
No, I have just again removed it and redoing it now because okay. I have to again share.
Please mute your mic and don't put it in the presentation mode, please.
Yeah. Okay. I continue here. So the actors in this scenario are the MNCs, FPOs, and rural. You should know about this because you are entering a domain area where you will be having partnerships. And when you enter into this partnership mode, the IP issues really boomerang. Now, so why do I need an IP portfolio. I totally agree. I'm talking to a young startups who are in that busy time of developing products. They're concerned about getting proper, passionate, qualified employees. They're also more bothered about raising capital and understanding the ecosystem, which I tried to put out in the last few slides. Apart from this, please remember, in agriculture, any good which is for the consumer often has a tough regulatory type of approvals, and you need to keep that in mind. Yes, Nobel Prize winner, both our two lady scientists have won, but regulatory approvals for CRISPR-based technology products is still a little far away. We had the same case in the BT products coming out. So technology-based, in some subdomain areas, do run into problems for regulatory approvals. So if I were to advise a startup, please go in for IP. I have certain questions as a startup. Will it become destructive? Yes, it is destructive. It is expensive. Yes, I would say. It may consume a little bit of time and energy also. So if this is the thing, then why is it needed at all? Why should I bother about it? We'll come to this slide right after we discuss. Let's see. Before we that, let us try and understand what is this intellectual property which we are all talking about. I always use this slide, and if some of the faculty have been in some of my workshops, one of my favorite ones which I have made. Let me also tell you, this entire presentation, because it's an academic one, I'm trying to say, it is copyrighted. All this is part of a copyright. So what is it? I'm trying to tell you something using my intellectual asset of thinking, my experience, and trying to do. So don't you think it is an intellectual output coming from my brain? If that is it, and I have a legal connotation to it, can I not treat it as intellectual property? And that's exactly what is the definition of intellectual property. Any legal connotation to an intellectual powerhouse coming out of your human brain, the legal connotation is the intellectual property, just as you all have properties, physical properties at home. Mostly property means land, house, blah, blah, and all. You also have scooter and things like that. If you are allowed to own those, why not have a formal system by which you can allow a person to gain credit? Again, I come back to our Nobel Prize winners for CRISPR in chemistry. It's a pride to see. Again, I'm saying it more because they're two women, and it's not an easy, domain area they have come in. They had a huge struggle, and they are now rewarded. That reward is in form of this thing, but it was also, I must tell you, they have already patented, and as I said, it's already gone into litigation stage also. But people who develop something, I think, stand a chance to be rewarded in form, after they are humans. The only thing at the end of this lecture, if Dr. Sudhir were to say, ma'am, it was a great job, a pat in my back, I think it motivates me. That's what intellectual property also does. It motivates you to. But the fact is, it cannot be, it's trying to put an untangible thing out of your brain into a tangible mode. And you have various types which are now recognized legally all over the world. So you have copyrights, you have trademarks, you have trade secrets, you have geographical indications. You're going to have a special lecture on that. You have patents, you have designs and integrated circuits. I'm going to limit myself to only patents, copyrights, trademarks, and trade secrets, because I understand we don't have anybody in the startups right now who are actually working on any domain area which will lead to a PVP, the plant variety protection. So I thought for this time I will not talk about plant variety protection. And GI, because you have already another session by Dr. Elsie, who has been working very, very hard on this building the portfolio, I think she would be addressed. So with this, now I said legal. It's a noisy slide. It's a very complicated slide. But in one go, I just wanted to brief to all my young startups that there are now legally accepted IPs in the domain areas. Each has got a character which you should see. Each has got an authority in India. Each has got a statutory approval in form of a legislation and rules which are there. Each has got a classified type of attribute which is accepted thanks because we are part of the TRIPS agreement across the world. And in its own way, each serves certain stakeholders. So if a startup has an invention which is novel, which is non-obvious and has certain industrial applicability, I will be talking about this in the next few slides. He can apply, he looks for a patent. You also have design, particularly I'm talking to engineering department, Dr. Sudhir in particular. You have a scope for a lot of designs coming on new and original forms which are in the two-dimensional mode. While inventions do not look at two-dimensional modes. You also have trademark, an opportunity for branding, which is extremely important when you are entering markets. To tell the public that this product is from you. You need some sort of a distinguishing element. Of course, you have copyrights. And in agriculture, though these are not IPs, these are elements you should be aware. There are statutory provisions in the Government of India laws on the Biodiversity Act and traditional knowledge, which is honored as part of our societal concern through certain instruments in our laws itself. So this basically at one glimpse gives you the legislation, the current authority which is looking at it, and the attributes as recognized by the law to give that IP. Now, I'll slowly go into each of these IPs. I would request the organizers, if you have, because I'm not able to see the chat box, if there are questions, kindly just keep it and at the end we will look at them. However,
Sure,
if anybody wants,
they will be doing it.
to,
Participants, please, if your questions, queries can be posted in the chat box, okay? Madam will be answering at the end.
Or Dr. Sudhir, till now, whatever we have discussed, if anybody wants to raise questions for 5 minutes, we could cover that and go, whatever you people say. Because IP is a pretty heavy subject.
Sudhir sir, presentation not fully visible, sir.
Yeah,
Again.
presentation. I think we need to manage the presentation session, madam. Only one corner it is coming. Yeah, it's okay now. So
Why
we
is
have
it not
informed.
coming? Because
Yeah,
I'm
no, it's okay. Now it's okay, but it is full slide is not coming.
why
I
here
think-
on my slide everything is okay.
Okay.
I don't know why.
Maybe because of some Zoom factor.
I have no clue because here it is okay.
Yes.
Otherwise, I have to go back to my laptop. My laptop is, the connection was a little wanky. That's why I just came.
Okay.
Can you see now?
Yeah, it is not fully, madam. Almost 95% is coming. 100% is not coming. Some
Can
yes,
you-
yeah.
can you-
Now you just now it's okay. But could
But
you
now
please?
it is not.
Yeah. No. Could you please put it in the presentation mode?
Yeah, it was in the presentation mode.
Oh, yeah. Now it's okay. Perfect. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Perfect. Please
I keep
continue.
going back and clicking. Okay. So, what do you say? Any of the audience has any questions till now, or should we go ahead with copyrights?
You can go ahead, madam. If there is
Okay,
question,
fine,
at that
fine.
time we can post that questions. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
The copyrights I was talking about is an important IP because I remember I said tech-led startups, technology-led startups. One of the technologies which is, it's my personal, again, I've done an analysis, I must say, that most of the startups today, in today's, as on date in the agri startup era, are mostly based on, apps, are mostly on IoT or software dominated, and the Indian law affords only one way of protecting some of the software based, I wouldn't call them inventions, basically algorithms and all, because they treat such products as expression of ideas. They differ from patent because there the idea itself is protected. But here, an original expression of an idea. So which means I have certain idea. Now my presentation is a copyright because it's an expression of ideas which are already known in my own way of presenting. That is what it's called as creativity protection. So the arrangement of the words, the notes, the copyrights are, it's a bundle of rights. 5 types of rights are there in copyrights. On literary works, on all the publications in any form. Somebody was talking about maps, the geo maps, all those tags, some of our, even the, computer-based technical drawing, CAD drawings, databases, software as such. Of course, in India, because some of our, we had certain issues earlier in the 90s on fighting cases, we do give credit to some of our oral traditional knowledge also, which we today, we have a traditional knowledge database, TKDL, which many of you must be at least aware of under the Ayush Ministry at this point, which consolidates all the traditionally known health systems in a database, and that is again protected by copyrights. Trying to give you ideas that if you are a startup which is looking at these particular outputs from your efforts or any other, of course, publications definitely form. I'm talking about databases or softwares. This is an opportunity for you to think about protecting it as a IP. It's not a big deal at all. It's a very cost-saving, purpose. I think Dr. Manoj himself will be. He is the owner of several now copyrights on some of the apps they have developed. And it gives you at least to go out into the market to say that you have developed as a software developer this particular type of expression of what you think in an algorithm. So copyright, in my view as an IP practitioner, it is many people do say it's a soft protection, but the way it is implemented by the law, one, it's a very fast way of getting. You all have, it's a very cost efficient method of applying to the copyright registrar, and you don't even have to go to any lawyer for that. You can do it yourself, or your incubation manager can definitely help you. And the process also is much faster. But the way you look at the patent right, definitely it is by many practitioners and academicians in IP considered to be a little weaker type of IP right as compared to patents. Patent is regarded as one of the strongest IP rights. Also, IP rights means intellectual property rights, that right which is given to an IP holder, whether it's copyright or patent, the right to disallow others from using it without his permission. Simple as that. I'm putting it in the most simple language to tell you. the right to not allow, and right to take his permission to use it in certain mode, and then you evolve certain modes of licensing modes to use it under a legal arrangement and agreement. So, in terms of exercise, like for example, I think everybody would be knowing about our traditional type of books like Ramayana or Mahabharata. How many authors have written the same Ram, Sita, Lakshman story in a different time? Everybody who has given this literary work of Ramayana, the same story, idea being same, but it's expressed in a different way. I were to go and write Ramayana saying, starting from Ravana's and Sri Lanka, his Lanka kingdom to Ayodhya in a different fashion, I come up with a new book. It is an original expression of another idea. I can stand to get a copyright. So copyright, because of this flexibility, people do view it. But in my view, it is also one of the most difficult and has the strongest amount of punishments for people who infringe on your copyrights. And that's an important message for my young startups. Economic way, viable business model, but you must be aware that infringement, it also gives you a lot of money. So that's why today, in the broadcasting industry, it has become a huge method to, I know IP lawyers who are actually specializing only on copyright infringement acts, and their business is really big companies, software companies hire people, knowledge workers, only to see how their software is being misused and misappropriated. Again, as a startup, the hint is, if you are able to use open source software, there are other provisions. You can use it without any other complications, but then you can't, probably you'll have to relook at how your source, whether you are allowed to even go for a copyright on a product which you make again. That depends on the agreement which you have to see. It's also very important, if there are students and young researchers in this group as audience, to remember that copyright, as I said, is a bundle of rights. That means, even for my young faculty here, you have a published paper which has been where now you have to sign up, when you get your approval from a publication house for a research paper to be printed, you actually sign an agreement with the editor saying that, with the publisher, saying that you only have author's rights and the publication rights are his. So tomorrow, even if you are an author of it, for which you have full rights, you would need to ask the permission of the publisher to publish the same paper which you are the author in any other place. Please, now you are on e-platforms, and this is a very stringent. Plagiarism and misuse of copyright material is something which we all have to. Today, if I have put this, I have checked it that this image is allowed for academic purposes to be used. If I don't find it, I always write the source. You learn to respect others' IP and give attribution wherever you can. Now, I come to another important item. Many people think trademark is something, but I can tell you specifically in the last 5 years, I've had the pleasure of seeing at least 90 to 100 startups. Many of them I'm already in their mentoring stage, and some of them have graduated. And I feel that trademark is one important one you have to invest. After all, you're entering into it. And what is a trademark? It's something different. It's an IP which is given because it is distinctive, because it is something different. Copyright was for original expression of ideas. But a product entering the market, it should be different. Suppose I were to say, when you look at trademark, the only trademark logo you can think is Amul. Amul comes up with so many creative ideas for which they have a copyright. The utterly is still the slogan, it has a trademark. But what is Amul? It's into the food industry, isn't it? What is Surf? A detergent. And if I were to say that Surf company is one which is now coming with a health drink and trying to bottle it as Surf health drink, I don't think the consumers will ever do, because the trademark in their mind of Surf is associated with a detergent. And that is the level to what brands do. So I am talking about, I've showed, Urvi is one startup, a women-led startup which are indulging in floral waste material to make some products. One of their franchise area is poly waste. This they use for making 3 types of products and they are entering market. But they are under the trademark of Urvi. They have a poly waste which they have still not marketed as a sub-franchise. And just 2 days back, poly waste has come into the municipal corporation. They have an agreement. And I'm sure you can't see it, I have made it a little smaller, but poly waste is a copyright on the way they are coined that poly waste, tag. It's a copyright of the same startup. Today they have come into a partnership with our municipal corporation for waste collection. So that's why they wanted to project this. They have used a copyright and they all come under the franchise of Urvi Sustainable Concept Private Limited, which is their trademark. So 2 IPs, you're building your 2 IPs into your packet. And that's what the message I wanted. So please remember, trademark also under the Indian Act is affordable for collective marks. That means 2-3 marks. Service marks. That means suppose you are into the service of pesticide spraying services. I'm just giving you an example. That service also can be given as a service mark under the Trademark Act of India, which has been revised in as late as 1999. And today there are class 1 to 45 classes under which you will be. What I'm trying to convey to the startups is, when you're applying for a trademark, which is valid, which is also called evergreen rights because you get for 10 years in one go, the more important part is that you need to understand the category under which, the class under which you want to apply. So if you're in a business of service for food industry, you have to go to the relevant class. You are talking about a device or a farm-led implement, you'll have to go to that class and apply. Or as a startup, you want to expand into different sub-verticals, you would need to take a trademark in the envisaged subdomain areas also in one go. Sometimes you can apply later in a different class, but you do land sometimes in problems in getting it in one class and not getting in another class. So the best way is, if you have a vision and a mission of your startup, you must be able to think well in advance, plan and apply in the classes you want to enter the market through. Suppose it's a food product, a bakery product, and also an implement. Your company is looking at all of these. You need to plan yourself properly, and that's where we'll talk later on strategy. Now I come to what I was saying on patent. I think I should spend a little time on this because there are some questions which were raised. Patent is essentially for inventions. It's an exclusive, like copyright is meant for, the term is, and the current law, it is more than 70 years of lifetime. It's almost a long period. TRIPS said 50 years, but the government of India has given much higher, that is the lifetime of the author. And trademark is generally for the first 10 years, which is renewable, but patent is a limited period for 20 years. Why are we giving this right? Because you as an inventor are disclosing it in the public domain about your invention. So we want to recognize you as an inventor and give you this credit, through which you will also get the rights to exclude others from making, using, selling, importing the patent product or process producing that product for those purposes. One of the questions which was asked by some of you was whether we can patent a product or a patent process. Well, both are allowed if they are novel, if they are non-inventive, if they are industry applicable. Three properties which should be in tandem. That means all three should be matching. They can be given, process or patent. But if you have already patented a process and you want to make a product out of it, quite often you will run into problems because the process the product part will lose the novelty because the process has already been done. So today's law gives for both. But once you patent it, you must be careful to see your claims are in such a fashion that your next patent, if it's based on the same process, which should not be made invalid because of novelties. So the best policy is to try and help draft a patent which will be encompassing and lead an invention into a product. This problem of process and product was before our Act was amended. At that time, we used to give process patents for those in agriculture chemicals, medicines, and food products. We never used to give product patents, but now we give to all product or patent or process. You can get a process patent. But if you want to make a product patent out of that same process, you will run into problems. You can give it. Now, of course, institution, this you should remember because some startups do a little part of their work in combination through an agreement with certain R&D institutions. You have to be very careful in such situations. Who is going to be, before you start your work, have an agreement where the IP rights are clarified. There's no harm in getting a patent in combination or individual, but it depends on the type of association, type of facility you are taking, type of help you are taking. Rights, somebody had asked a question. Patent rights are purely territorial in nature. Novelty test is global. That means search for a patent is at global level. Grant for a patent is territorial. You have a patent in India, you will not have a patent in US for the same until you apply for it. And that means, as a startup, you will have to plan your strategy, whether you want to enter which markets. Sometimes, if you're because India is part of conventional country law, within 1 year of applying a patent in India, you are allowed to apply for a patent in other offices. But beyond that, your patent application in India will kill the novelty of a patent application in another country if it is after the timelines. So, as startups also, Stella Apps is now a well-known startup in agri sector in the veterinary. They have 7 patents and almost 4 trademarks if you were to go and do a search today. They had a business. They have certain patents which are PCT applications, that means they have gone and tried to apply in many countries through this mode of patent cooperation treaty. It's a little more complicated at this stage, and it is important to understand and plan where you are in. Many startups today are doing, because of other reasons, they tend to first apply in India. Fine. But within 1 year, if you are able, within 12 months, if you think markets are coming, I know, I don't want to name a startup now. I know one of my startups who had a patent in India in one field. They wanted to enter Africa because they got huge, potential and they got a opening, but they don't have a patent there. So now they are building their portfolio with trademark of their product and entering the market. It's not that it's closed. Many IPs are there. You can make some strategic decision to make use of all the IPs. But if you are able to have a very good invention which has good market, plan early. And I know many grants which are helping people to also give funding for filing in different countries if it's BIRAC grant, the big grants which are coming under the DBT and BIRAC, some of the other investors do give specific amounts only for patent filing. So this is what I was trying to emphasize on the novelty. It should be different. Incremental improvements are also to be given a patent if they are novel. Usefulness means that sometimes usefulness or non-obviousness is something which what we mean is there are two people who are chemistry guys, okay, I'm just putting in a more blunt language, and they are very qualified persons, but to one certain step he got a novel idea by saying that instead of 5 steps I can get the product in 2 steps. A person skilled in the same art did not get that idea. This person needs to be credited. So the non-obviousness is that, and the repeatability of a patent. Anyway, industrial application means you're talking about a public disclosure. So the patent application, when they see a potential licensee, should be in a position to understand and also undertake the work with your permission to start the application of that patent disclosure. Means he should be able, the repeatability test should be at a large scale. So if 3 things, novelty, inventiveness, and the industrial applicability, if 3 are there, usually patent offices would consider, but it's definitely a long journey. Most startups have this trade secrets, and I think this is a valuable tool for many startups. It is an IP. As long as it is not disclosed, it stands to be a strong IP. So which means you need to, and in India we don't have a law, we only are under the what we call confidentiality agreement, top law, which we give. So this is something you have to deal it in a little differently. Coca-Cola formula, for example, is a classical example of trade secret. Many people don't. You would have many trade secrets. Many startups do have information which is in a know-how form, which needs to be taken by others. So trade secrets, you need to develop a strategy to protect it. Now, I find that we have discussed quite a number of IPs. Industrial design is something I did not discuss because most of the engineering tools, whatever you make in terms of an original, not an invention, original layout of a design in your machinery stands today for a period of 10 years a grant under the Industrial Design Act of India. It's also another strategy because patents take a long time, and quite often in agriculture engineering, the reverse engineering issue crops up. And some of our concerns are people copy their prototypes very often and launch it into the market. And once it comes into the market, novelty is lost. So strategically, industrial design is a good method of preparing for an IP also, if you don't want to go into the patent line. Now, we have talked till now on a lot of intellectual asset. Please understand, assets are something you have. I have a fine voice, which is an asset. I'm not saying I have a fine voice, I'm just talking. Asset is an intangible. But if I convert it into a song, into a gramophone record, it becomes an intellectual property in form of, I have publishing rights, broadcasting rights in form of, and I can have, HMV trademark on it. So that's a property I'm making. But all the intangible ones are mainly intellectual capital. So you need to understand this word, you must know, trade dress encompasses all these things. In a product which is coming, say I have a coconut water, what you call Neera, which is a famous drink from Kerala, and is positioned into the market. The trade dress will be encompassing the design, the brand, the design of the, say, the bottle in which it is there, the copyright encompassing the information which is there, the patent which is on the type of drink, methodology which has made it to be having increased shelf life with the preservative. So all these will form part of trade risk on the final product which is positioned onto the shelves. But those intangible ones like know-how, the trained manpower, your marketing information, pricing information, these are little difficult to be quantifiable, and they form the part of your intellectual capital and a strategy which is very, very important when you are trying to push yourself into the markets. So I've just tried to give you that through patents, you get a boundary wall on the inventiveness. Through trade secrets, a boundary wall of secrecy. On trade, with the trademark, on the brand value, on an authorship rights, on a copyright or software also. So with this background, I have not really gone into details, but this is just a preliminary background. When you are entering into the whole business, please understand when you are starting your startup to look at some of the material you are taking from your other collaborators. Very often I find startups, ma'am, I have a technology. In the next session, I think Dr. Manoj will be talking about the other part of it. So Dr. Manoj, please take it, and after that we'll come back to this slide when we are talking. What I wanted to tell my young colleagues here is this is a table which really looks at if it is an invention, you get a patent. Utility model is only in the US, which gives for only about 7 years a patent at a smaller duration, which is not in our country. You can get an industrial design also. You can also push it in the confidential information if you don't want to go through the process. Articles including any output in written form, a copyright. A design, it can be a copyright, it can form part of your industrial application, design application, or it can be also on a device trademark. Know-how, essentially confidential information. A website, copyright and trademark of your company. Software, it is, we don't give in India, we only give copyrights, but softwares which are given, can be applied in the US and other European countries also now. A trademark on the final product which is marketed as a product, or you put it into a device and do it embedded. In India, by the way, software put into a device is earned a patent. Okay, and then of course the name or a logo of a product, a trademark. With this, I come back to the first slide which I talked about. You need an IPFL? Yes, because this will form one of the most valuable assets of your startup. It can be very essential to obtain the venture capital. See, I am part of many as an evaluation team for many of the grants. And as a grantee, when the grantee is present, I usually, one of the questions we ask is, you have a beautiful idea, you have beautiful technology, have you applied for a patent? Because when I am giving you 50 lakhs or 70 lakhs, I need to know how far it is safe in the sense that others will not claim on it, and when the product is launched, he has complete control on his product. Otherwise, we should not land up in the situation where, like, it's just a cartoon, only again taken and given attribution to the photo source. That fire was, it's not an invention, it was a discovery in fact. But we should not have a regret that I have invented fire and I'm not taken a patent. So, why do you need IP portfolios? You help protect it. I think Dr. Manoj, I'll give a stop here because after this, I'm only trying to talk about their strategy. If it's okay, I can stop here and let Dr. Manoj take over, and then I come in, chip in. Because from here, I am looking at issues of how to help them to think on sort of making their portfolios.
Okay, madam. And in between, madam, there are a few questions to you. So you
Yeah,
can,
sure.
while Manoj is presenting, I think you can go through the chat box and
No,
then
no,
later on we can answer the questions. Okay.
1 minute. Are there any major questions or?
Yeah, there are a few questions, madam. So I think when Manoj is presenting, or you want to interact now itself?
Anybody wants to ask any questions? They can.
They have asked some questions. Okay, question start.
Presentation.
Should I ask you or?
No, screen size only they were asking. Yeah. Handhold area. Questions are very diverse in terminology. How to overcome? Yeah, the questions on the knowledge part we'll talk in the next part of my thing in the concluding slides.
Okay.
And I don't see
You can, yes,
how
madam,
to
you can,
protect the brand name. Brand name
yep.
is only through trademark, mostly through trademark, and the literature concerning the brand name is copyright. Can we apply for patent? I think I've answered that. You have to plan your patenting methods. What is this?
Madam, we can address these questions after Dr. Manoj's presentation.
Yeah,
Okay.
fine. Sure,
Madam,
sure.
please leave from the presentation slide now.
Yeah. I do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So that then only he can present it. So with this, thank you, madam, for insightful presentation. But we will back to you, madam, after Dr. Manoj's presentation. So, Dr. Manoj, now the floor is open to you. Please interact with our participants. Okay.
Yeah, we have
And
an
I wanted to announce one more glad news, and it is today's birthday of our second speaker, Dr. Manoj. So happy birthday,
Oh,
Manoj Samuel. Yeah. Okay.
very
Thank
happy birthday, Manoj.
Okay.
happy
So
birthday, sir.
okay,
Thank you.
So Manoj, please start your session. Yes.
Okay, we have an interval, or I will start just now.
You can continue. You can start your slide. That will be an interval. You can just open your presentation at that time. The participants
Just
can
general
interact.
action.
Yeah. No, that is why I announced the glad news, because we can get the cake or at least one picture of the cake cutting.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good morning to all. I'm very happy to be with you today. Last year also, I got an opportunity to interact with RAFTAAR trainees. That time, fortunately or unfortunately, we had physical training, physical interaction. It was a nice time for all of us. And again, this year, this good work, Dr. Sudhir is continuing. And I think KU ABA is doing wonders as far as agri entrepreneurship is concerned in Kerala. And I think it is going to fetch a lot of laurels to Kerala Agriculture University. I'm Dr. Manoj Samuel. I am working in Central Institute of Fisheries Technology. And before joining CIFT, I worked in ICR, National Academy of Agriculture Research Management, Hyderabad. And Dr. Kalpana, madam, was my mentor, my senior. And I learned all this IPR, whatever I know, from madam only. So that madam was already interacted with you. So that I have nothing more to add. But still, some slides, some thoughts on my experience on this domain for last 6 or 7 years. And previously in NAM, I was actually doing mainly theory, because we are teaching students as well as scientists about different aspects of IPR and how we will take up this protecting IPR, intellectual property, especially in the agriculture domain, especially for agriculture universities and ICR institutes. If you develop something, a new technology or a new protocol, a new process in our laboratories, how it can be protected. Same time, we have a big question before us, because we are working for the farmers, and farmers are, they are marginalized community. They cannot spend much time for purchasing the technology from us and use it. So that we have to think that also, because we are working with the public money, and we are working for the farmers, so that most of our technology we have to keep freely in the public domain. But at the same time, we have to go further. Now, government is also looking towards more income from the system. No more salary is a free commodity. So we have to also find out some revenue. So that slowly we are also moving towards a proprietary system of technology. What of the technology which is having business value, we are looking for industries or partners who can take the technology, who can license the technology, or they can purchase the technology from us. So that we will get some amount. We means government will get some amount. And in US, most of the universities are industry-supported university. The fund from the government, federal government, is very, very, very meager. Very famous university like Stanford University, MIT, all these are private universities, and the fund is mainly coming from the industry. Even the land grant university, that is state federal sponsored university, even those universities also almost 80% of the fund is coming from industry. But as far as India is concerned, the fund from the industry or the industry oriented research is very, very limited. So that slowly we are moving towards a more industry friendly research, more proprietary way of thinking. Same time, we have to keep farmers beside us, and we have to make sure that the technologies are reaching them in a low cost. Now I will start my presentation, and maybe under 45 minutes, by 12 o'clock I will wind up. I will try to wind up, and Madam can again interact with you, and I will be here so that wherever my intervention is required, I will also try to interfere. Now it's visible? My slides are visible?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
yes, your screen is visible.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Your slides are not
Slides are visible, isn't it?
visible.
Hello?
I
Slides
can
are
see your
visible?
screen.
Manoj, your slides are not visible. Wazir.
Now?
No.
No. Slides is not visible, sir. You have to open the slides, sir. What you're seeing in the screen, we are seeing right now.
Yeah.
You can open the slides because you had shared your entire
open
screen.
slides.
We can see the full screen of your presentation. Yeah.
Yeah, I opened the
slides,
slides.
sir.
Whether it is coming?
Not yet, sir.
Yeah, I just go out and go back. 1 minute. I will again try. Now it's coming?
No. Now it's coming, but you have to. Okay, fine.
Yeah, I will make it in.
Yeah, now it is there, sir. You can just change to the presentation mode.
Yeah, I'm doing that.
Yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, it's perfect now,
Yeah,
sir. Continue, sir. Thank you.
So that today we will discuss something on how the technology can be translated to a business value. We are speaking a lot about innovation nowadays, and the fundamental difference between an innovation and invention. I used to start almost all my presentation from this slide. Nowadays all are speaking about innovation, but you have to know the basic difference between an innovation and an invention. Because invention, Thomas Alva Edison invented a filament, or something which is new, out of blue, somebody invented. But as far as innovation is concerned, it is a gradual change. Something already exists, but we are making improvement on that for better result. So that the innovation can be institutional innovation can be technological innovation, organizational innovation. And nowadays, we all are thinking about making profits from our innovation. So that a funny definition about innovation is the ability to convert ideas into invoices. As far as global innovation index is concerned, This is actually developed by United Nations Committee on Trade and Development. And as far as their index is concerned, India stands in 66th position, and our score is only 33%. But Switzerland, you can see the score is 66. US it is 61. Even though we have a lot of startup companies, lot of innovations, somehow we are not going up in the innovation index ranking. Why? One thing is actually, here the denominator is our population. Population is high, and other indicators are scientific publications per million population, literacy rate, and all these indicators will draw us back. But even though we have a lot of ample scope to work on this area and develop on our innovation index. And innovation can happen in different ways. Most of we scientists or researchers or university faculty, what they are doing is that they will do the basic science in the laboratory, or in engineering science we will develop something based on our scientific principles, and after that we will market. That only we do. Then it will go to the society. But as far as if you go to the market, most of the research is not happening in that way. Most of these private companies, they have an R&D wing, they have a research and development wing, and they work on the need of the market. They will see, they have constant market survey. Nowadays, you see whatever the equipment you take, somebody will call you, or online you will get a message. You have to undergo a small survey, so that they will ask whether you are satisfied with the product or service, or you need something else, or some improvements in the existing product or service you are looking for. So that as per the market needs, the companies will develop or companies will do innovation. The already existing product or service, they will modify, they will improve based on the market needs, and it will go to the market. That is a market pull. That is happening in 99% almost, but 1% still we are working. We are working with the scientific principles, coming out with some new technology or process, and it is finally coming to the society. And this is the life cycle of technology. Our life cycle also more or less same way only. It starts from the research and development side as far as the technology is concerned. And once this R&D phase is a bleeding phase. Actually, money is going from our pocket. We are spending for R&D without any profit. We don't know something is coming out of that or not. But finally, something may come out. Sometimes that technology, once we release to the market, it will start fetching money like anything. So that we are working continuously on R&D. We are coming out with a technology or a product, introduced to the market. Then it will start getting the amount, profit. That is, we call that is an action phase or profit phase or leading phase. Then after some times, whatever the product, whatever the technology you see, after some time it will get a maturity. Then it will start declining. When it start declining, when a better product comes. As far as mobile phone is concerned, this curve is so sharp, because every day we can say new technology is coming. So that every 2 months you can see the same company will be introducing new models with the new features. So that the technology life cycle of mobile phones are very, very sharp and very small. As far as their x-axis, that is time axis is concerned, it is very small. You see, the x-axis it is time, and in the y-axis it is market size. So that the second S curve, we call it an S curve. Actually, it is an inverted S. So that the second curve is actually the better product. That is a secondary product. So that when a better product comes in the same domain, our existing products start declining. This happens to almost all the product. Only the shape, sometimes if some product, it may continue for some more time because a better alternative is not available. And this is the same thing I have given in another perspective. You see, the x-axis, beyond the time, you can see, beyond the introduction of the product, this area, this portion, we have negative cash flow, as I told, R&D. And after we introduce the product, it will start fetching the money. And after some time, this amount spent along with the interest, we can actually encash from this side. So that point we call as break-even point. In your industry also, it is same thing. Because when you start a startup company, the initial days, initial years, you have to spend lot of money from your pocket. Otherwise, you have to attract money from angel investors or venture capitalists or some bank loans or something like that. But that is actually a risky business, because you are looking for some profit after 3-4 years, but now you are investing, and especially in a new technology. But you have a great amount of risk. But at the same time, if it is successful, your market is open. There is no competitors at all. So that once it is successful in the market, you are going to fetch money like anything. Like Byju's after PUC, when he started, nobody knows how it will work in the market, how it will be accepted by the students and parents. But finally, now it is a multi-billion company, and it is in the Forbes. He's in the Forbes list by Ju Ravindran. You see, that is now you are also going to deal this type of problems. So that when you select a technology, when you select a domain, you have to be careful. That is one thing. But same time, you have to take risk also. The negative cash flow, you think, and that cash flow you have to manage with the positive cash flow once your technology is released to the market. And after maybe 1 or 2 years only, you will get the payback period, and your break-even may attain. So that this is actually, whenever you develop a new product, everybody has got an idea, but all the ideas cannot be actually converted to a technology. It's like a funnel. In the mouth, you have a lot of ideas, 250 ideas, but at least 1 or 2 only will come out as a good technology in the end. There's a lot of turns, lot of churns, lot of activities, lot of rejections in the process. It is same with a scientist also. The scientist will be working on 10 different technologies, but unfortunately or fortunately, only one will be coming out. You are hearing now Nobel Prize announcements are going on, but these people are, their entire lifetime, they are working on some particular technology, and they faced a lot of failures, and finally a successful technology or a protocol came to the limelight. And of course, that technology may be changing the fate of the mankind itself. So this is the technology, how we are working. You can just see we invent or we do innovation, we make a discovery in the laboratory. But after that, we have a small system, we call it as an IP portfolio management, as intellectual property. So that once we have a new technology or a new protocol or a process, like Kalpana Madam told, we have to first decide whether it can be protected or not. All the technologies cannot be protected, because you know what is happening in the other end of the world. So many people will be working in the same domain. Even in the, the 2 ladies, they got award for Nobel Prize for chemistry yesterday. The same discovery, the same research, some other group has done. And so that's why their patent is rejected by US Patent Office. But they got Nobel Prize, and they're telling it is a sweet revenge for this particular type of group. So the same domain, a lot of people will be working. So that if you develop a technology and you take it for patent, sometimes it may not be granted, because same or similar technology might have been developed by some other person, some other group, some other research group, somewhere in the other side of the globe. So that first we have to do the patent search, and we have to decide whether this is actually patentable. It has got some innovation in that. Madam, I told when we can take a patent decision. We are coming to that again, so that we will decide whether it is actually patentable or not. So that we have to do the patent search, and we have to do a lot of exercise. We have to do due diligence. Finally, if it is really innovative, new, novel, we can think about patent, because patent is not a free service. We have to spend money for applying for patent and maintaining patent. Then second part, we are, of course, we decided on the patent. A technology I developed, I gave to the my other group, that means other section of my university. They are looking about the patent. They will decide whether it has to go for patent or not. They have an expert committee on that. Then same time, or parallelly, I can also do the market feasibility analysis. We will do some test marketing prototype study, and we will see whether it is, my technology will be really accepted by the market. We will see the consumer preference studies. And if it is successful, we will go for we will actually license it out, or we will actually give it for a startup company or a private industry. And similar, same time, we can also do de-risking. That means we will do the scale up. When we are doing in the laboratory, it will be looking fine. But when we are doing in a big scale, a lot of other issues may prop up. So we have to do the scale-up process also, that we call a de-risking. After that, we will actually give to the private industry or the takers of the technology. That is market launch. So that this is, when you are starting a company, it's very important. You see, you have an idea and you started working on that. And in the first, you see, it is nothing but our technology life cycle, more or less. So that this, the x-axis you can see, that is the timeline. Below that, the area, the entire volume, you can see this volume, you can see my cursor. This area actually, it is the loss period. You are actually spending money here, a lot of money. And finally, after 2 years or 3 years, you may be coming out with the technology. And this area, I told it's a bleeding area, bleeding period. Here you need funding. And you cannot take this much huge amount from your pocket, most of you. But you have to see some funders, some funding agency. You can go for some, look towards some angel investors, some venture capitalist fund, or something like that, or bank loans. Then you come out with the technology. Normally, no bank will give a loan for an idea. They need something in concrete. They need a detailed project report with feasibility studies, BC analysis, IRR, payback period, and all. So that this idea stage, only you have to rely upon the angel investors or some VCs or some founders. Actually, somebody, you see, one of the company in Kerala, they developed a new technology for cleaning the manholes. You might have read in the newspaper. And I think Mahindra is funding them. We don't know how much money they have. He has spent on this. He has contributed. He's like a founder. He's like actually an investor. He is not looking for the future, that means the profit much, but he is actually supporting a good cause now. Similarly, now India government's one competition, you might have heard, one of our company in Charthala Techno Park, Info Park, they developed a new video conferencing system. And many companies are now coming out to support this company. So that, like that, we have to actually showcase our technology, showcase our idea. And especially this stage, this actually the initial stage, the important thing is that you should have a clear-cut idea about, you should have a very clear-cut idea about what you are going to do and how you can present your idea to the investors, how well you can present your idea to the investors. So they should be impressed. And of course, once you work with the idea and finally here it is coming out like as a technology or a product, then this will follow the technology life cycle. You see growth, maturity. And this area, once it is coming to the market as a new technology, banks are ready to give money. You can prepare your DPR. And like Madam told, at this stage it is more or less intangible, but here it started tangibility. Now it is something reality, it is coming to the market. Now expansion. And once you expand in a big scale, you can also go for share acquisition, IPO, and all these things. Okay, same thing is given in another perspective, so that you say this will happen to all of you. When you start a company or a new idea, a company with a new idea, in the beginning stage, you see, sometimes in the first test marketing stage, you'll get a lot of good positive result, and you may think your success is going to win the market like anything, and maybe another 3-4 years you will be a billionaire. But it is, we call it a peak of inflated expectations. You know your technology is not going to work in the market like you think. After some days it will come down, and you are thinking that your technology has gone, the lakhs of rupees you have spent it has already gone to the water. But it's not like that. Of course, your technology, because this stage in the inflated expectation stage, this stage actually you are actually going to a niche market. And some of the selected customers, they will be giving the good feedback. But when you are going to the open market with a lot of competitions, here the market behavior is totally different. Lot of competitions, lot of market forces you have to face. And here you may not face a better marketing, better sales sometimes in the beginning. And we call it a disillusionment phase. But don't get discouraged at this phase. You have to stand by, you have to actually hold on. And maybe after 1 year, slowly, because of your consistent and constant efforts, your product or your technology slowly started gaining in the market. Maybe after 2 years, once you start a company, immediately you don't think. First, it may perform very bad, but slowly, because of your efforts, constant advertisements, feedback, customer reviews, it started catching the market. Slowly, but consistently. That is actually slope of enlightenment, and finally it start getting profit to you. That is the productivity phase. So that most of your company is going to work in this way, so that initial hike, you don't get you don't take over enthusiasm there, and after that it may come down very fastly. You may suddenly fall down, but you don't get disappointed at this stage. Again, stay back for some more time. Slowly, your technology, your company may slowly catch the market. This is the normal phenomena. Not only this is not a, actually is a we cannot generalize it, but still it is a normal phenomena. Now we are coming, like Madam has already told, why this IP protection is required. Because I will just tell with a small example. You all know these two examples. The first person, you see, he's one farmer in Chemberi, Kannur district, eastern part of Kannur district. One old farmer, Appachan, he invented a machine to climb coconut trees. You know, in Kerala, climbing coconut trees is getting coconut climbers is a difficult task. We have to even some days book over WhatsApp or phone and wait for some more days for their appointment. Very difficult. So that this Appachan farmer, not any scientist, but this farmer developed a coconut climbing machine. And he 1995 he invented the machine. I actually went to his industry. I met him and I spoke to him personally. I was at CPCRA Kasaragod that time. And unfortunately, one of the Kerala government's initiative, RAIDCO, they just copied this machine and they started manufacturing and selling this climbing machine. And they were making lot of profit. And this poor farmer, he started a small village unit and he put up name also, Palm Climbers. And they were also selling this machine. But you know how they can compete in a small village in Kerala with a large network of RAIDCO, which is having centers all over Kerala. And finally, because these poor farmers never knew anything about patent, he never heard the word patent. And after the RAIDCO started copying and making profit, this person came to know about the patent IP protection. And in 2002, he gave a police. He started a litigation, and he gave for patent. And after 4 years, in 2006, he got patent. Indian patent number is 194566. And that time, RAIDCO stopped manufacturing it. But you see, that 6 years, RAIDCO manufactured it, fabricated it, and gave it to many farmers and made a lot of money. You see, that is the problem with the IP protection. If you don't protect your IP at a proper time, anybody can copy, make product, and make a lot of money from that. You cannot, your thing may not stand in the court. Of course, this fellow didn't get any money from RAIDCO because RAIDCO, he cannot prove before the court that he has a patent and RAIDCO infringed on that. After 2006 only he got patent, but by that time RAIDCO has done the job. But on the right side you can see one of my teacher and one of our friend, myself and Sudhir senior, our teacher Dr. Jipu Jacob and our friend associate professor in professor in Kumaragam Center now, Dr. Joby Bastian. They invented a coconut coconut dehusking machine. You know, now every house you can see the dehusking machine. But immediately after inventing, they applied for patent and they got Indian patent in 2005. You see how many years they took. They filed in 1995, but they got patent after 10 years in 2005. But by that time, you know, they have already actually licensed these technologies to Raidco. That also Raidco has taken, but Raidco has not Raidco, Kaiko, Kerala Agro Industries Corporation, and they have manufactured and gave to many people. But of course, this is a very simple technology, so that all the local artisans or small industries are making. Of course, we can sue them. They can sue them and get money, but all small people everywhere they are making, so that they couldn't do much thing. But of course, university has a lot of money as a royalty from this invention, so that the difference. One person developed a very innovative technology but forgot to or didn't patent it, and he lost a lot of money. Other group, they also made a good innovation, immediately patented, even though it is a very simple and small but very effective technology. The university got a lot of money as a royalty. This is not with the Kerala Agriculture University or our situation. It can happen. In America, a lot of litigation is going on. Two big companies, and now they are telling that the Dawn company is telling that other two companies have copied their hydraulic down pressure control system for planters. Actually, it is a for planter, rock crop planter, and these two have copied their technology. But of course, now the litigation is going on. If Dawn company can show their patent documents, or they can prove that this is already patented by us or applied by us, they can sue and get a lot of compensation from the other two firms. Similarly, with another two, AG Junction and Ravin Industries, and this is on automatic steering and machine control technology, and same thing. AG Junction is telling they have invented, but other people told that we invented. And those who have done the patenting first will get the benefit. Similarly, now IP, Madam has already told, Madam explained about the different types of different forms of IP. And in India, she's the expert in agriculture domain about IP, so that I will not spend much time on this. And whatever the patent, three things you have to remember. One is about its novelty, its usefulness, non-obviousness. These three things, whatever you develop, if you go for patent, these three conditions has to be fulfilled. One is it should be novel, it should be totally new. Second, it should have some utility. If you develop something, it doesn't have any work, or it doesn't have any use, you will not get patent. It should have some industrial applications. Second is non-obviousness. Something you already know. Milk is white, we all know. You cannot take a patent for that. So, which is already obvious to all of us, clear to all of us, we cannot patent. So, these three conditions has to be satisfied simultaneously together. And this is initial patent. This John Deere tractor, you can see one of the initial patent. We applied for 3 patents from my institute. You see 3 different dryers we developed, and we applied patent. Now patent it is under process in examination stage. One is a LPG, solar LPG hybrid dryer, 60 kg capacity with automated systems. The second is an infrared continuous dryer, hot air assisted dryer, and the third is actually a walk-in type standalone solar dryer. So these 3 we applied for patent. And second is industrial design. Some of the thing we develop in our laboratory, in our university, or in your small startup company, you may have some beautiful designs, so that you can even patent the design. You see, this is actually a small vending kiosk, fish vending kiosk. You can actually fresh fish, you can market on the roadside using this kiosk. In the chambers, you can put different types of fish, and it's a refrigerated chamber, so that no ice is required. So that anybody can go and purchase the fish. There's a descaling machine to remove the scales. There's a place to cut, clean, and wash, and all the liquid and solid waste will be collected separately. But we tried for patent. But the thing is that patent already on the similar lines, it is given to some Chinese product. So we cannot apply for patent, because it is not exactly for fish. For some other non-vegetarian items, they had this display system with a refrigerated chamber and all. But it is totally different. While look, it is totally different. But the principle is more or less same. Then what we thought, we will apply for design patent, we thought, because this design is unique for us. So we applied for design patent, Indian Patent Office, Kolkata, and we got it. Within 1.5 years, we got the design registration. Now nobody can copy our design. And copyright. Madam has told why copyright is important. because as far as our literary works are concerned, and as far as we science students are concerned, our softwares are concerned, we can only for copyright. We also have a copyright. Recently, we got a copyright for this. This is actually a automatic information system for dryer. You know, in the dryer, when we dry anything, whether it is copra, whether it is vegetables, whether it is meat, whether it is fish, what people do, they will put it in the dryer, and every 1 hour they will open and see whether it is dried or not. So that much heat loss may happen. Again, the time will increase. Energy, you have to spend more energy for that. Some manual intervention is required. So that what we developed a small weight sensor, and if you use this type of sensor with algorithm in your dryer, it will give you, it is connected to a GSM module, it will give a message to your mobile. You can see when you load it, it will tell now it is ready for drying. Then after some it will tell your product is, whether it is fish or whether it is onion, whether it is mango, whether it is jackfruit, it will tell you 50% dried. And once it is fully dried, it will tell you 100% dried. So that each level you will get an information in your mobile. So that you don't need to go and see whether it is dried, or once it is fully dried, automatically the system will switch off. The dryer will be switched off. So that this technology will develop. But we could only do copyright, because we cannot go for a patent for this, because it's mainly working on a software. We have an algorithm. Based on that algorithm, we wrote a code. Our students have written a computer code. Based on that computer software, this system works. So that we go on for patent, and the patent is now granted. No, sorry, the copyright is now granted. Last year we got copyright. Then apart from that, we have another copyright also, one water quality decision support system. Why I'm telling? Because like examples only, this water quality decision support system, if you, when we take our water and go to any laboratory, they will give a test result. But even though we don't know whether it can be used for drinking water or agriculture use, whether animal use, whether fisheries can be done, or it can be used for washing our utensils, whether it can be even used for our bathing purposes or toiletry purposes. So that using this software, if you give the parameters, what is the calcium, what is the sulfate, what is chloride, what is fluoride, if you give that values in the software, it will tell you for which purpose it can be used, whether it is good for drinking water or it can be used for some other purpose. It will also suggest what is the better filtration methods. So that we got a copyright, because this is also working on a software. Then myself and Kalpana madam, we have got another copyright, that is technology evaluation. We developed a system to evaluate the technology. So that in now many technologies we are developing. So this laboratory, they developed many technologies on jackfruit processing. So that so they develop some technology, and if it is some companies, some startup companies ready to take that technology, so they has to know what is the value of the technology. That he cannot simply arbitrarily put, okay, you take 1 lakh and take my technology. He has to do some groundwork. He has to calculate. He has to do some reverse calculation. How much money I spend, or how much money this technology will fetch from the market once it is introduced to the market. So that different methods are there. So that we have to first evaluate the technology. What is the value of your technology? After that only he can start negotiation with a company for selling or licensing the technology. So that for evaluating your technology, we developed a valuation tool that is also based on a software code, and we got a copyright for that also. So that I am telling examples why this copyright and design, what we can do, which area you can apply. Similarly, trademark. We got a trademark recently, our institute, SIFT Tech it is called. All technologies from Central Institute of Fisheries Technology, now it is under this trademark. Similarly, we have another institute another institute in Kochi itself, ICR Institute, CMFRA. CMFRA's trademark is Kadal Mean. So that whatever their product, they have a trademark called Kadal Mean. Our trademark is SIFT Tech, and this is the particular design. This design we will be putting, and nobody can infringe, nobody can use this design. Similarly, GI, actually you have a separate class for that. LC madam and Kalpana madam will be telling more on that, so that I will not spend much on this. So many GIs are coming in now. Then trade secrets, madam told trade secret is having more importance as far as your startup companies are concerned. Then plant protection and all these things I will leave now. But when you have a technology, what you will do? This technology has to go to the needy people. As a startup company, you are ready to take technology from me or from Sudhir or any company, any university or any research institutions. We developed many technologies. This technology, you are ready to take the technology and make a product from the technology, or use the technology and give a service to the society and make profit out of that. But you can take this technology from us in two different ways. One is, it's a one-time transaction, assignment. I have a technology, I evaluated it, I think it's worth of some 25 lakhs. So that you give me 25 lakhs rupees, you take this technology. After that, this technology is yours. I have no authority on technology because I sold it at a one go, at a one-time transaction. You take my technology, I forgot the technology, now the technology is yours. That is assignment. But in government system, mostly it may not happen. Mostly we are licensing our technology. We have a technology, we are licensing the technology to your startup company for a limited period or a limited area with some restrictions, with some conditions, so that you are licensed to use our technology for some within some condition and make profit from that. And from that profit, you have to spend some money, you have to give some money back to me. That we call as royalty. And when you are taking the technology, you have to pay a license fee also to me. So that two things. As far as license is concerned, two things. One is license fee. When you take a technology from a ICR institute, a government institution, or a university, for example, we have some good packaging solutions. When you have any food packaging, some food materials, and you have to properly pack it and send to Gulf countries, that technology we can give to you, we can license out to you. But when you take the technology, you have to pay some money in bulk to us, maybe some 1 lakh rupees. That is we call as license fee. Then after that, using this technology, you are making some money. In a year, you made 1 crore rupees. In that, 5% or 6%, some money, some royalty you have to go back. That based on our conditions. This is the two way we do, and the licensing can be different way: exclusive license, non-exclusive license. Mostly in ICR system, we do non-exclusive license. That is same technology we give to different companies. Everybody can take the technology. For example, we have different dryers. We have a kiosk. I showed you that vending kiosk. So that we have licensed this technology to some 12 companies. In that 12 companies, 10 are from Kerala, one from Tamil Nadu, one from Andaman. So that these companies can take our technology and sell our technology. For example, dryer. When a client comes, we'll connect to the empaneled agency, and we call them empaneled agency. And they will fabricate and give the dryer, but we will get a royalty. We are getting 5% royalty. At the end of every 6 months, they are paying the royalty back to the office. So that is, we actually licensed our technology to our these private agencies, and we call empaneled agencies. That is non-exclusive. Same dryer we give to many people. Exclusive means one person. You are giving your technology to only one person, and he only has the right to manufacture using that technology or give that technology. Sole licensing. Sole means even though I am, of course, I am the developer. I am giving to you, but I have also the right to use our technology. I can make profit from my technology. I cannot go to any third party. But exclusive means even though I am the developer, only you can make profit out of my technology. Then so many other different types of licenses. From the name itself, revocable license, territory license. It can be limited to only Andhra Pradesh, only Tamil Nadu, only Kerala, only UP. Field of use, royalty bearing, sub licensing, cross licensing. Sometimes two companies may do cross licensing. You have two different startups. Now you know each other. You have a good technology, other companies having another technology. So that you can just exchange your technology. You will allow your technology to be used by other company, and his technology you can use if it is in the similar lines. So that we can say it is like a barter system, cross licensing. And sub-licensing also possible. If you go to somebody, he can sub-license to some other person. Depends upon the MOU you signed. But when you work on this, when you working on this patenting area, you have to think a few things. We are working on agriculture domain. Our end customer. So put it in the proprietary domain. Similarly, knowledge versus ignorance, protectionism versus free trade, north versus south, that means poor versus rich. Because we are working for the livelihood, farmers. Other side, we are making profit from. So that you have to actually see there's always a trade-off. Whether farmers should get the benefit, we have to ensure. Then indigenous versus imported, all these are the questions before us when we develop a strategy for strategy on patenting. In another 10 minutes, I will tell about the institutional framework in ICR, and I will wind up my presentation. You know, technology development on the left-hand side. These three are the institutions which develops technology. One is State Agriculture University, technology on agriculture I am telling, State Agriculture University, ICR institutes, and third and more importantly, grassroots innovators. And Madam was actually the person behind this that also in her concluding session. So that, you know, farmers themselves are developers. Like I told that coconut climbers, Nellani, this Elam variety, and many things farmers themselves are developing. Now recently some video we have sent some coconut climber without climbing, without a manual intervention from down itself we can control, and it will cut the not coconut, it will cut the arecanut bunch and it will bring it down. So that farmers are developing, grassroots innovators. Then, of course, our scientists and faculty of institutions, ICR institutes and state agriculture universities are also developing technology. But once we develop technology, it has to go to the farmers or startup companies or industry, so that we have some mechanism for that. Because we are basically researchers or teachers, so that we don't know the market dynamics. But we have some mechanism in between, and this mechanism is called business incubation system. So that ICR actually we have a three-layer system. One is actually ITMU, Institute Technology Management Unit. So that all the technologies developed in a research institute will be monitored and scrutinized by this ITMU, and they will only decide whether it has to go for market, whether it has to go for patenting, or both has to do parallelly. And as far as ICR is concerned, each subject domain, we have a zonal technology management unit. For example, animal science one ZTMC is there. For fisheries one ZTMC is there. Crop science another one is there. Horticulture another one is there. Then apart from that, most of the agriculture in ICR institute, more than I think 70 now, they have an agri-business incubator. These agri-business incubators are the nodal centers which is connecting the institute with the farmers or startup companies. As a startup companies, any of you are interested in any of the technology developed by ICR Institute, you contact this agri-business incubators. They will help you. What way they will help you, I will tell in the next slide. But in a bigger scale, technology business incubators are also available, directly funded by DST and DBT. In NAM, there's a big technology business incubator called A-IDEA, and Madam was the founder, president of that. And they are doing wonders. Many new startups have come up, from a drone system to B2 milk. So many new things have come. Quinoa farming, many things have come. Then Agri Innovate is another company which is actually registered under ICR. This is an independent limited company. So you see, some of the ICR technologies have a potential to go to abroad also, or in a large scale it can be implemented. For example, recently, you know, our IRA scientist, Madam was an alumni of IRA, Indian Agriculture Research Institute. They developed a capsule, and you use this capsule and give to farmers in Punjab, Haryana, and Delhi. This capsule will disintegrate the stubbles and the agricultural waste material. And you know, this burning of agricultural waste material in Punjab, Haryana region is concerned, because it creates a lot of smoke, and you know how it is fastly this agricultural waste, because why farmers are burning? Because they cannot keep the waste in the farm and do the next cultivation. They have to somehow destroy it. Viable technology which can remove the stubbles or remove the agricultural waste, and it can be integrated to the soil as an organic manure, they will be very happy. Now you see, 2 days back, Arvind Kejriwal was tweeted about this IRA technology, and he actually, one photo I was seeing, he is actually putting this capsule in the field. So that Agri Innovate can coordinate in a large scale to a big player, how ICR technology can go to the market, not only in India but in abroad also. Then third part is you yourself, that is your industry, startup companies, farming community, small and medium enterprises. Now you see, in as far as my institute is concerned, when a client walk in, what we do, we will tell them to visit our laboratories. Some of the permitted laboratories are there, museums are there. They can come and see you can come and see our technologies. We will demonstrate our technologies. Not only engineering technologies, processing technologies, fishing technology, new craft, new piers, fishing vessels, everything you can see. If you are interested in your technology, you can also register here. You can register as an incubator, or you can register for a training also. We will go regular training post pre-COVID time. Now, once COVID issue is over, we will again resume the trainings. So once training is over and you know all about our technology, and you think this technology has some utility for your startup company, you can actually join in our agribusiness incubation as an incubator. One option. So that you can, if you join our ABI as an incubator, we will give you some of the services. We will handhold you. So we will give you detailed project report. We will do the economic analysis, market study, pilot plan facility. We have all the pilot plan.
Manoj, incubation activities today afternoon, Dr. Nainan is handling.
So that I will skip this because Nainan sir is the PA. He will tell about all these things. So that these are, I was telling about engineering technology. So that using this mechanism for the last 5 years, we have sold our technologies to many people, not only in Kerala, but other states also. You can just see. So like you, many startup companies are coming forward and taking the technologies and very nicely using. These are the products from some of our incubators from the dry fish domain. Dry fish technology, that means dry fish production technology using CFT developed dryers, these companies have taken. They are making the products, and these products are now in the market. Now it's available in the market, including Lulu Mall. It is available. So that this agri innovation and all, now another faculty will tell you afternoon. So that what are the facility agri business incubation is giving, and startup company, you know about the startup because your life is actually startup. You are actually part of the company. So startup movement is coming in a big way. And now 5 years back, this is actually somebody made this periodic table using the startup company. From the company, first company, you can see Pepperfry. You know how the Pepperfry company has now grown up online, and they have even retail shops now. Any furniture you want in your mobile, you can order, and within 2 days it will be in your doorstep. So it was an innovative idea. Nobody thought a furniture we can book through our mobile and it will come from Rajasthan or Bihar to Kochi or Thrissur. We never expected, but now it is possible. So that people started thinking about very crazy ideas, and they came out with some companies, and maybe out of 10, maybe 1 or 2 may succeed, but that success is tremendous. And finally, I'm winding up. As I was telling, when we have a technology, we have to value it. So that we have some technology for that. We have some what is the published method for that. We have also published 2 papers on this. So using these methods or our valuation tool, we can value a technology. So that when you negotiate with any person about taking a technology, this valuation tool is good for both researchers, both developers, as well as takers. When you start negotiating with a person, if you want to take Sudhir's jackfruit processing technology, you want to negotiate with him, sir, how much rupees I have to pay. If he is asking 1 crore rupees, you are not okay with that. So you should also have a valuation thing. How much money I am going to get this from this technology if I take this technology from Kerala Agriculture University. You have some projections for next 4 or 5 years. Based on the projection, you have a benchmark. Maybe I may get maybe 25 lakhs as a profit. So that you have to negotiate, sir. I may maximum I get 25 lakhs from my this one. Or in that, anyway, I can pay out of the 25 lakhs, 15 lakhs I can pay to you as a cost of the technology. So that way, this valuation is good for you also. It's the last slide, I think. So that when you start your company, you have lot of, I told, many crazy ideas. This slide is good for the developers, for the means for universities or ICR institutes. When we support you as a developer or as a researcher, if I support you to start a new company using our technology, lab developed technology, all these things I can use. I can actually show how this laboratory technologies can be done in a big scale, so that I can have some pilot scale manufacturing unit within our campus itself. In CIFT we can also give legal support. Now you know pollution control board is asking permission everywhere, so that whatever way we can support, we will do. Similarly, spin-off companies. When you start a company, somebody says a better product will come as a spin-off. You have to see that. Then some of your people might have come up in a big way. So that we will connect with those people. Those were our old students or our old partners. Now they are big players in the market. So they will connect and they will actually speak for you in the beginning. So we call it CEO mentors. Then food hubs, innovation clubs for enterprise. Now you know a lot of connectivity is possible. Now. What is that? What very vibrant groups about incubators. All Kerala Agri incubation related people are members of these groups. So that a lot of information exchange is happening in these groups. Very happy to see that. Thank you very much. I'll wind up now. Now, madam, I continue and I am online. Anytime I can intervene and I can explain further or answer your questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Manoj. And that was a highly inspiring session, Dr. Manoj. So please be online because there are some few questions to you also. So in between, you can go through the chat box. So now, madam, Dr. Kalpana, madam, please come back and please join the interaction. Okay.
And just 1 minute, I'll share.
Yes.
To yeah, I think